Number of things from the terms of reference that have been published this morning. A very good afternoon to you, Prof. Fikeni. The long-awaited terms of reference for the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into state capture have finally been gazetted. But what do you make of these terms of reference? Will these address South Africa's very long-standing concerns as well as questions, Prof?
I do think that the terms of reference are actually very specific and they do not departure much from what Thuli Madonsela had presented. Therefore, they are achievable given the volume of information that is already available.
Complete its work. Do you think this is a reasonable time frame, bearing in mind the arduous and mountain loads of work that they have to get through? I mean, the former public protector had raised the time constraints as well as budget issues pertaining to the total investigation if we really want to get to the bottom of state capture.
I doubt 6 months as stipulated is a reasonable time. It would need a year to a year and a half to go through all this, but more importantly, it needs all kinds of technical skills, from legal skills to forensic skills to all kinds of analysis that can be done if one is to get to the bottom of this matter, because there will be a lot of evidence that has to be tested for its validity.
All right. And Prof, now we've seen various resignations from the key sectors, namely the SOEs that have been, of course, linked to this very same cause. Do you think that these people can still be held to account by our current mechanisms of redress? Many people feel that they have simply, those that have simply resigned might just not provide any usable or tangible evidence or even participate in the investigations.
Well, I do think that a commission of inquiry of this serious nature will have the powers to subpoena those who may provide evidence. Therefore, that is not the main problem here. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that only the employer may have constraints once you leave the place of employment. But a commission of inquiry of this nature has wide-ranging powers. It can call people from wherever they are. Even if they happen to go abroad, they may still be able to extend, their invitation or subpoena to people there.
All right. And Prof, are you hoping that from this commission we're going to get concrete recommendations that could even possibly recommend that criminal charges be instituted against those that have been found to be guilty of state capture?
I do think that the wealth of evidence that we have, it's inevitable that some people might be found to be on the wrong of the law. Mm-hmm. But most important is the diagnosis that will give us a real sense of how, state of capture has worked and how informal power tend to influence and penetrate formal power. That in itself, I think, will be the one that will inform future legislations, future regulations, to make sure that the recurrence of these is not easily attainable.
All right. And speaking of formal power, Prof, before I let you go, let's now discuss, of course, the work of the subcommittee on the National Assembly rules, which is expected to complete its process of drafting a proper mechanism of the removal of a sitting president or the impeachment thereof of a sitting president in terms of Section 89 of our Constitution. But do you think, this is another lengthy process, but do you think plausible outcomes can be expected with a very clear directive on this matter, Prof?
I do think that may come, but at the same time, just setting the systems for this particular policy might take us deep into the year. And perhaps if Parliament is lucky, by the end of the year, you would have this policy ready, in which case they may even have some of the evidence coming from the State of Capture Commission to assist in such. But it might be too little, too late for the current president.
All right, Professor, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to leave it there and allow you to also catch your breath. That is political analyst Professor Somadoda Fikeni talking to us about a range of issues, namely, of course, the terms of reference for the inquiry, the judicial inquiry that will be looking into, of course, state capture.